Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up every day with unwavering confidence, knowing that nothing is impossible because you have the creator of the universe on your side. Picture a life where every obstacle is met with faith. Every challenge is seen as an opportunity, and every dream is within reach because you trust in the one who is greater than anything this world can throw at you. That's the power of believing in him. In a world filled with uncertainty, doubt, and distractions, belief in God isn't just a religious principle. It's the foundation that holds everything together. It's the force that transforms your life from ordinary to extraordinary, from limitation to possibility. But here's the question: what does it really mean to believe in him? How does your belief impact your everyday life? And how can you activate this powerful faith to unlock divine opportunities and miracles? Stick with me as we explore the profound power of believing in God and discover why this belief isn't just a passive thought. It's the very thing that will catapult you into the life you were always meant to live. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear could change everything. Believing in God is not simply a mental exercise or an acknowledgement of his existence. It is a profound and transformative force that shapes every area of our lives. True belief in God goes beyond the intellectual acknowledgement that's real. It is the act of trust and confidence that he will do what he says he will do. To believe in God is to embrace his promises, his power, and his sovereignty over all things. It is to place our complete trust in his ability to guide us, provide for us, and protect us, regardless of our circumstances. This kind of belief is not passive or fleeting. It is active and steadfast, built on a deep understanding of God's character and his commitment to his people. When we believe in him, we do not merely accept that he exists. We engage with him as a living, active presence in our lives. Believing in God means that we trust him in every situation, even when things are uncertain or unclear. It means we rely on his wisdom when making decisions, his strength when we are weak, and his peace when we are anxious. It is a constant recognition that God is present with us, guiding us through every step of life. This active belief in God is what sets us apart as people of faith. It is what enables us to stand firm in the face of trials, knowing that God is working behind the scenes for our good. When we believe in God, we acknowledge that he is not just a distant force, but a loving Father who desires to be intimately involved in our lives. This belief gives us a sense of security, knowing that we are never alone and that God is always with us no matter what we face. Belief in God also unlocks the potential for miracles. When we trust God with everything we have, our hopes, our dreams, our fears, we open ourselves to the possibility of the supernatural. God is not limited by our understanding or circumstances. When we believe in him, we align ourselves with his will and allow him to work through us in ways that transcend our human abilities. Belief in God is not just about hoping for the best. It is about knowing deep down that with God, all things are possible. This belief transforms our perspective on life. It shifts our focus from our limitations to God's infinite possibilities. We no longer see ourselves as helpless or inadequate, but as people empowered by the Holy Spirit to accomplish great things. Our belief in God enables us to overcome obstacles that would otherwise seem insurmountable. It gives us the courage to step into the unknown, trusting that God will provide the way. True belief in God is not a passive waiting for things to happen. It is an active, living faith that propels us forward into the life we were created to live. It's the belief that with God, every setback is a setup for a greater comeback, and every challenge is an opportunity for growth. As we cultivate this belief, we are continually transformed into the people God has called us to be. And we begin to experience the fullness of His promises in our lives. Faith is not merely a theoretical concept. It is a dynamic, living force that governs how we approach every aspect of life. Believing in God is rooted in this active trust, where we don't just acknowledge His existence, but put our full confidence in His ability to guide us, provide for us, and fulfill His promises. It requires stepping out of the realm of what we can see or understand and embracing what we cannot yet perceive. True faith involves a complete surrender of our own understanding, knowing that God's plans for us are far greater than what we can comprehend. To believe in God means to align ourselves with His will and trust that He is in control, even when our circumstances seem uncertain or unfavorable. It is an ongoing process of choosing to trust, even when the path ahead seems unclear, and even when doubt creeps in. This is where faith becomes more than a belief. It becomes an active force in our lives, propelling us forward despite the challenges we face. Faith isn't just about hoping things will work out. It's about trusting that God has a purpose for everything we encounter, and He is with us every step of the way. This trust in God's promises is the foundation of our faith. The Bible is filled with God's assurances for His people, and when we choose to believe in those promises, we position ourselves to experience their fulfillment. God promises to provide for our needs, to protect us, and to never leave us. When we hold fast to these promises, we are declaring that we trust in God's Word more than in the circumstances we see. It is in this trust that we find peace, knowing that God is faithful to do what He has said He will do. Faith in God's promises gives us the courage to take steps of faith, even when we can't see the entire journey ahead. When we believe in God's promises, we stop relying on our own strength and start depending on His. This faith releases the power of God into our lives, enabling us to overcome challenges that would otherwise overwhelm us. We begin to see our obstacles as opportunities for God's greatness to be revealed, trusting that His plans are far better than anything we could devise for ourselves. Faith also shifts our perspective. It allows us to look beyond the present moment and see life through the lens of God's eternal purpose. When we are anchored in the belief that God is trustworthy and His promises are true, we begin to view challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities to see God's power and provision. This kind of faith makes the impossible possible. We stop living with a mindset that is limited by what we can see or understand and begin to live with a mindset that believes in God's limitless power. This is the kind of faith that opens the door to divine intervention, miracles, and supernatural breakthrough. When we believe in God's promises, we stand on the assurance that He will never fail us, and that He is working in ways we may not even see. Our trust in Him becomes a declaration that regardless of what we face, we know He is faithful to His word. Faith, rooted in God's promises, becomes a powerful force that propels us forward into the fullness of the life He has planned for us. It transforms the way we live, moving us from a life of fear and doubt to a life of confidence and victory. Overcoming doubt is one of the most critical aspects of believing in God. It's human to face moments of uncertainty, but the key to navigating those moments is to anchor our belief in God's unshakable character. Doubt often creeps in when we encounter difficult situations, when things don't go as we expected, or when we are confronted with challenges that seem too overwhelming. It's in these moments that our faith is tested. However, when we believe in God, we don't simply ignore the doubt or pretend it doesn't exist. We confront it head on with the truth of who God is and what He has promised. To believe in God is to trust that He is bigger than any problem or obstacle we might face. It's about acknowledging that while we may not understand the why or how, we can trust in God's sovereignty and His perfect plan for our lives. His thoughts are higher than ours, and His ways are greater than our ways. Believing in God means accepting that His purpose will prevail, regardless of the difficulties we experience along the way. When doubt arises, we must remind ourselves of God's faithfulness in the past. Every time we face challenges and God saw us through, it's evidence that He is faithful to His promises. By reflecting on God's previous interventions, we can strengthen our trust in His ability to act in the present moment. Our belief in God becomes fortified when we recall His track record of provision, protection, and grace. Faith is not about denying the reality of the situation. It's about choosing to believe that God is greater than our circumstances. Even in the midst of storms, we can rest in the knowledge that God is with us, guiding us through the turbulence. This belief transforms the way we face obstacles. Instead of seeing them as insurmountable, we begin to see them as opportunities for God's power to be revealed. Doubt is a natural part of the human experience, but when we allow doubt to take root, it can paralyze us, preventing us from moving forward. However, belief in God helps us to move beyond doubt. And when we trust in God, we are empowered to act in ways that transcend our limitations. We stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the solution. God Himself. Belief in God enables us to rise above fear and doubt and move into the realm of possibility, where anything is possible because we are aligned with His will. To overcome doubt is not to pretend that everything is fine or that we never experience fear. It's to acknowledge the doubt, but choose to place our trust in God anyway. When we do this, we find peace that surpasses understanding and strength to endure whatever comes our way. Faith becomes the antidote to doubt. It's the steadying force that keeps us grounded when life feels uncertain. Belief in God is not a one-time decision. It's an ongoing choice to trust Him more deeply, to let go of our doubts, and to rest in His perfect love. As we do, we experience His faithfulness in ways that renew our strength and deepen our trust. Belief in God is not just about seeking blessings, it is about transformation. When we choose to believe in God, we are allowing Him to reshape who we are and how we live. This belief goes beyond our immediate desires or needs. It impacts the very essence of who we are and changes the course of our lives. To truly believe in God is to open ourselves to His work within us, allowing Him to mold our hearts, our minds, and our actions. Belief in God is a catalyst for spiritual growth. It challenges us to grow beyond our current limitations and step into the fullness of who God has created us to be. As we place our trust in Him, we begin to reflect His character more clearly. We become more loving, compassionate, patient, and wise as we align our hearts with His will. The more we believe in Him, the more we begin to understand His nature and His desires for our lives. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It is a lifelong journey of becoming more like Christ. Our belief in God fuels this journey, providing the strength and motivation to continue evolving and growing in our faith. Belief in God also transforms the way we view the world around us. When we trust in God's sovereignty, we begin to see every situation, every person, and every opportunity through His eyes. Our perspective shifts from a limited human viewpoint to a divine, eternal perspective. We stop seeing the world as chaotic and random, and we start recognizing the hand of God at work in every part of our lives. This shift in perspective allows us to live with purpose, knowing that God has a plan for every detail of our existence. Our belief in God is not just about us. It's about His work through us to impact the world. When we are transformed by His power, we become vessels of His love and grace to others. As our hearts are changed, we are compelled to share His goodness with those around us. Our belief in God flows outward, affecting our relationships, our communities, and even the world at large. We are no longer living for ourselves, but are living to fulfill God's calling and purpose for our life. True belief in God requires action. It's not enough to simply say we believe. We must show it through our actions. When we truly believe in God, our lives should reflect that belief in every area. Our choices, our relationships, and our priorities should reflect the values of the kingdom of God. Belief in God doesn't just change how we think or feel. It changes how we live. It moves us from a passive faith to an active, living faith that compels us to serve, to love, to give, and to live according to God's will. This transformation is a continuous process. We are constantly being renewed as we trust in God more deeply and allow His Spirit to work within us. As we grow in belief, we begin to see the fruit of that belief in our lives. We experience greater peace, joy, and fulfillment because we are living in alignment with God's purpose. Belief in God brings transformation not just in our personal lives, but in the way we interact with the world. It empowers us to live boldly, to love deeply, and to fulfill the destiny God has placed before us. As we continue to believe, we become more and more like Him, reflecting His character and purpose in every aspect of our lives. Believing in God is an active, ongoing commitment, not a passive thought. It is a journey that requires intentional action and conscious choices. To truly believe in God is to actively engage with Him in every area of life, continuously trusting in His guidance, His wisdom, and His power. This kind of belief requires that we not only declare our faith, but that we live it out daily, even when the road ahead is unclear or challenging. Belief in God is not just about acknowledging Him on Sunday or during moments of crisis. It is about integrating His presence and His will into every part of our lives. It is about inviting Him into our decisions, our relationships, our struggles, and our triumphs. Each decision we make becomes an opportunity to demonstrate our trust in Him. We choose to align our thoughts and actions with His Word, relying on His promises and His direction. As we continue to walk with God, our belief deepens. It becomes more than just a belief in something we cannot see. It becomes a relationship with the Creator of the universe. This relationship is nurtured through prayer, study of His Word, and obedience to His voice. When we believe in God, we are actively engaging in a process of transformation where we continually surrender our own desires and submit to His greater plan. Belief in God also involves resilience. The road of faith is not always smooth or easy. Life presents many challenges, and at times our belief in God is tested. It is during these trials that our faith is refined and strengthened. Rather than allowing difficulties to shake our belief, we use them as opportunities to trust God even more. When we face hardships, we lean into God's promises, holding firm to the assurance that He will never leave us or forsake us. Each trial becomes a chance to witness His faithfulness in a deeper, more personal way. Belief in God compels us to take bold steps of faith. It is not enough to simply believe in God's promises. We are called to live according to them. This means stepping out of our comfort zones, taking risks, and trusting that God will provide for us even when the path ahead is uncertain. Believing in God moves us from the theoretical to the practical. It transforms us from people who talk about faith to people who live it out. Every time we act in faith, we are reinforcing our belief in God and His ability to guide us, provide for us, and protect us. As we continue to live out our belief, we become more deeply rooted in His purpose for our lives. We stop living for ourselves and begin to live for Him. This shift in perspective is powerful. We start to view our lives not as our own, but as a gift given to us by God to fulfill His will. Our belief in Him enables us to see the world and our purpose in it from a higher, eternal perspective. Believing in God also means accepting that His timing is perfect, even when things don't unfold according to our plan. His ways are higher than ours, and His timing is always right. In moments of waiting, our belief is tested, but it is in those times that God often does His most profound work within us. We learn patience, trust, and perseverance. Our belief grows stronger as we continue to wait with faith, knowing that God's plan for us will always come to fruition in His perfect time. Belief in God is not just an idea or a concept. It is a transformative force that shapes who we are and how we live. It calls us to action, to trust, to grow, and to live with purpose. As we believe in God, we align ourselves with His will, His timing, and His power, knowing that we are never alone and that He is always with us, guiding us every step of the way. To believe in God is to embrace a life of hope. Hope is not just an abstract feeling or a passive wish for a better future. It is a powerful force that propels us forward even in the face of adversity. When we believe in God, we are placing our hope in His promises, His faithfulness, and His eternal plan for our lives. Hope rooted in belief in God is not wishful thinking. It is a confident expectation that God will act on our behalf and that His purpose for us will prevail. This hope transforms our outlook on life. Instead of being overwhelmed by fear, doubt, or despair, we begin to see every challenge as an opportunity for God's power to be demonstrated. We understand that our present circumstances do not define our future. No matter how difficult the situation may seem, our hope in God assures us that He has a purpose and a plan that is greater than any temporary struggle we may face. Believing in God gives us the strength to persevere through the trials of life. The hope we have in Him enables us to endure hardship without losing heart. We are reminded that our struggles are not in vain, but are shaping us and preparing us for the future God has designed for us. This belief keeps us going, even when the path seems long and the journey uncertain. We understand that we are not alone. God is with us, and His presence provides the peace and strength we need to continue moving forward. Hope in God also anchors our hearts. In a world that is often filled with uncertainty and instability, our belief in God provides a firm foundation. We can rest in the assurance that He is in control of all things. Even when life seems chaotic, the storms of life will come, but they will not shake us when our hope is in the unchanging God who holds the future in His hands. Our belief in God anchors us in His truth, reminding us that no matter what we face, His love and His promises remain steadfast. Furthermore, hope in God is not just about waiting for a better future. It is about living in the present with confidence and peace. Our hope in God enables us to experience joy and fulfillment, even in the midst of difficulties. We understand that God's purposes are being worked out in our lives, and because of that we can live with a sense of peace that transcends our circumstances. Believing in God shifts our perspective from what is seen to what is unseen. Our hope is not based on immediate results, but on the certainty that God's plans for us are good, and that He is working all things together for our benefit. Hope rooted in belief in God is transformative. It changes the way we approach every aspect of life. It gives us the courage to face the unknown, the strength to endure hardship, and the peace to live joyfully despite the challenges. Belief in God fills our hearts with hope that transcends the temporary and reaches into eternity, knowing that God is faithful to complete the good work He has begun in us.